You're welcome back from that short break, and now we will be discussing with a independent data consultant in person of Itoro Lini. She is a UK-based data consultant, and we will be looking at data in this upcoming election and how important it is for us to gather all the necessary data. You're welcome to the studio, and it's good to have you online.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here as well.
So, I'd like to know, how can Nigeria as a country achieve a unified database?
Okay, so that's really interesting. And, that is one of the things that I think as a country, if we want to move into the next kind of level, that's the next step that we need to start to think about. And it really starts with trying to harness all the information that we hold in lots of different places. As a country, we actually hold quite a lot of information about what's going on, but we kind of hold it in different independent data, in kind of different independent locations. So what we need to do then is start to think of how can we harness all this into one place? How can we amalgamate it? How can we start to make sense of it? How can we start to use it to solve problems that are going on right now? So yeah, that's absolutely what we need to start thinking of.
Okay, so what is the role of data bank in national development?
In terms of development, data plays a huge role because one, you need to understand the demographics of the country, and you need to understand what people need. So in terms of like income, gender, age, level of education, these are the kind of information that you need to start with, because this helps you to inform where you go and what kind of projects that you probably need to implement. Data also helps you to understand the impact of those activities. So if you're doing things to improve on healthcare, on education, are you measuring? Are you understanding? Are things moving in the direction that you want it to go? And if they're not, can they give you that insight as to things that you can change? It's absolutely very critical if a country wants to kind of improve on its development, even from a financial point of view. So it is absolutely critical.
Okay, with the upcoming election in Nigeria, how can the citizens use data during this election?
Absolutely. So there is, I think it's very important that, we're all really involved in this election in one way or the other. I think there's different ways that data can be used in elections. So first of all, we need to say that, INEC is doing a really good job with the introduction of a lot of the tech that we use now. So things like BVAS, which helps to identify people and all of that. So that is really good. Different ways that we can all use data in the election. There's two kind of aspects. One, you can help to um, generate that information, but also two, you can consume it. So I'm going to start on like a consumption aspect. Can we view that information? So again, INEC have done a very good thing where they will be releasing the information at a very granular level. So can we go in? Can we view it? Can we make differences? Can we check that it is what we expect it to be? But also from a data generation point of view, if you cast your mind back to maybe 8 years ago, there was this thing of wait until your vote count. So can we go out on election day? Can we vote? Can we wait and check that the officials count our votes and they are what we expect, can we also do things to kind of, again, if you go back to 8 years ago, what people were doing at the time was they would post this information on places like Facebook, Twitter, to show the world that, right, this is what happened at my local polling unit. But what I've done this time is, how can we be a bit more clever about that? How can we pull all that information into one place? Because if everybody goes out, votes, and knows their local um, results, can we pull that into again, going back to this centralized database, can we pull that into one? Can we then use that to kind of sense check? Okay, what are the electorate saying that they saw versus what is INEC saying? Because again, this also helps INEC to improve on what they're doing. Because if things are not quite the way is expected, I'm sure INEC want to know about that because they've done a very good job so far. So anything that gives them a bit more insight. So to answer your question, I think for the average person out there, if you want to contribute and you want to use, if you want to help to use data in the upcoming elections to aid transparency, we've created a a WhatsApp chat bot. All we need from you is just message us in the result of your polling unit, and we will do all the analysis and we'll present it to Nigerians and make it transparent for all.
Okay, so in your expert opinion, does it play a crucial role? And do you see it being used in the future?
Absolutely. So data plays a very crucial role in elections. So, I spoke earlier about, commending INEC for the work that they've done on introducing things like BVAS. So it plays a role in that um, validation exercise. Can we check that people are who they think, who they say they are? Also, candidates are using this information. They're using it to analyze, to understand how well they've done in different locations, and does that match up to their expectations, and what can they learn from that? And also, in some instances, that can lead them to understand where they can make a challenge on the officially declared outcome. So yeah, it absolutely plays a crucial role. And the question about how can it be used in like a future sense. And again, um, validation is very key. I talk a lot about this because it is the fundamental bedrock. Is the electorate who they say they are? Can we start to merge this information? Can we start to merge the data from INEC with records of like of with um birth and death records, because that gives us more of an insight to really be confident that the electorate are who they say they are. There's been a lot of talk about underage people voting, or people that possibly aren't even Nigerians. So can we use this data to kind of make that process a lot more trustworthy? Um, yeah, and again, transparency. That is going to be so key. Can we start to share more information? Can INEC even release a lot more than that they are already doing now? I mean, they're already doing a very good job, but can they even push that out a bit more? And again, going back to what I talked about earlier, the lay person out there, we will start to want to that trust even more. So, can we have a way to validate what we see when we go out and then vote versus what we hear officially from INEC? So, yeah, absolutely plays a crucial role.
All right, so still talking about the data bank in Nigeria. How important is their role?
for the data bank. Um, so, I mean, there's lots of different forms, right? So, as I said earlier, different sectors in Nigeria and different institutes will hold some different type of information. The information they hold is absolutely critical to the operation, of what they do. And but this is data that if it's harnessed properly, we can actually propel our country into, the modern era, because these are things that can give us insight as to where people are, what they're doing, what they need. Take for instance, with the with the number of registered voters. If you compare that to the population information that we hold, you see very wide discrepancies. There's some places like Ekiti, the number of um, voters is of people that are registered is about a third of the whole of Ekiti. But if you look at places, some other places, it's absolutely really high. So these type of discrepancies are things that we need to start to understand. Is there something going on, in different parts of our country? How can we resolve that? How can we help people to make sure that they're getting what they need? So absolutely very, very, very critical. In terms of what I'm working on, the data that we hold is absolutely critical, because this data is helping us to, again, sense check, to validate, to give up that trust and confidence in what INEC brings out. Again, we've saying INEC have done a very good job, but can we kind of validate independently what INEC is doing? So the data that we are trying to pull is absolutely very important. So, again, if anybody is interested, you can just WhatsApp your information to us. The number is +1 2 3 4 901 3331. You can interact with the WhatsApp chat bot in that way.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming on the program. We really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you very much. Good to be on the show.
Okay. Thank you. Well, I've been speaking to a UK-based independent data consultant in person of Ithero Lini, and we've been discussing how important is data during this upcoming 2023 election. We're going to short break and we'll be right back.